Have you ever stopped to ponder why a man and a woman doing the same job, suffering the same injury, might not receive the same compensation? It's a question that haunts the realm of workers' compensation, unearthing a stark reality of gender bias that we must confront. In the United States, workers' compensation is a state-driven system with no federal standards or oversight. This leads to 50 different approaches, 50 different interpretations, and unfortunately, 50 opportunities for gender bias to creep in. It's a disconcerting truth that we need to address. Our nation's workforce is a tapestry of diverse individuals, each contributing their unique skills and talents. Yet, when it comes to workers' compensation, this diversity isn't celebrated. Instead, it becomes a breeding ground for discrimination. Consider this. A 2016 study found that women suffering carpal tunnel syndrome received an average of 20% less compensation than men with the same condition. This is not an isolated incident. It's a recurring pattern across various states, professions, and injury types. Some might argue that solutions like Medicare for all or state single-payer health plans could resolve this issue. While these are commendable initiatives that could alleviate some burdens, they don't directly address the inherent gender bias within state and federal workers' compensation systems. They are a band-aid, not a cure. What we need is a National Workers' Compensation Commission, a governing body with a mandate to set federal standards, provide oversight, and ensure fairness and equity for all injured workers, regardless of their gender. So, what would this look like in practice? It would mean establishing baseline compensation rates that reflect the severity of the injury and the impact on the worker's life, not their gender. It would mean scrutinizing state systems for gender bias and implementing necessary reforms. It would mean creating a system that sees workers for their worth and their contribution, not their gender. In conclusion, it's clear that we need comprehensive reforms in workers' compensation systems. We need to dismantle the gender bias that has been allowed to fester and build a system that values all workers equally. As we commemorate Women's Month, it's time to amplify the call for a fairer, more equitable workers' compensation system. It's time to advocate for change, for justice, and for the recognition that every worker, regardless of gender, deserves respect and fair treatment. Remember, change begins with awareness, and awareness begins with you. So think about it, talk about it, and together we can make a difference.
In the United States, the silence of female labor voices on the issue of gender bias in workers' compensation systems is deafening. Prominent figures such as WA State Labor Council President April Sims, Seattle's Kshama Sawant, the Green Party's Dr. Jill Stein, U.S. Senator Patty Murray, U.S. VP Kamala Harris, U.S. Representatives Pramila Jayapal, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have remained noticeably silent on this critical issue. Even those who have fought for healthcare reforms like single-payer systems, such as California Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez, have faced roadblocks from figures like California Governor Gavin Newsom when attempting state-level reforms. It's time to question why these leaders, who are vocal on many important issues, have chosen to remain silent on the gender bias and broader injustices within the workers' compensation systems. Their advocacy work is commendable, but their silence on this matter is unacceptable. This Women's Month, let's not just celebrate the achievements of women, but also demand action and accountability from those in power. It's time for these leaders to take a stand and address the gender bias in workers' compensation systems across the United States. The time for silence is over. It's time to speak up and drive real change.